Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very safe and well out there. We are back for instant reaction to Tottenham Hotspurs. I'm laughing because it's not. I shouldn't be laughing at this kind of level that we're playing at because I'm still trying to bring myself to try and understand the level that we are playing at. We're obviously facing off in a Europa Conference League playoff, which Tottenham have just lost by 1-0 against Paços de Ferreira. Delighted to have joining me to try and provide some therapy, some analysis on the back of what we've just witnessed over the past 94 and a bit minutes. I've got Jason McGovern. Jace, how are you enjoying the fourth tier of European football?
Well, if anyone thought I was dismissive of the competition, perhaps having watched it tonight, you'll know why I'm dismissive of it. It was enthralling, wasn't it? I don't think we had a meaningful effort at goal all night. I don't think there's a single player that looks anywhere near good enough to go to Wolves on Saturday. And the highlight of the game really was the referee blowing the final whistle. And from that was the only positive of the game. And let's just move on, mate.
Yeah, so poor. I mean, also pleased to have them back on the show together for this one. That's how much they've had to traumatise themselves to have to watch it together. It was that bad enough apart. They put themselves together.
Hold me.
Jesus, it was horrendous. But I've got, first up, the wonderful Richard Cracknell back on the show. Rich, what have we just witnessed, Rich? What have we just witnessed?
Well, I can't believe I missed Love Island for that tonight, Rick. And
honestly, I can't believe I missed it. Honestly, I tell you, I've got to catch up.
I mean, I don't know if you know anybody that watches Love Island, Rick, but I'm all over it, and I missed it tonight, and I'm absolutely gutted. I'm gonna have to watch it on catch up. So
like we are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Believe me, I know how much you despise it, Rich. I promise you, 20 minutes of that would be better than what you've just witnessed over 94 minutes. I promise you.
It can't be that bad. It really can't be that bad.
No, it really isn't. I find it thoroughly entertaining and a guilty pleasure, I must say. Also, back on the show, the wonderful Antony Costa's with us here. Ant, how are you?
Hello, mate. Mate, I've missed a whole a box set of Only Fools and Horses to watch that tonight and come on the show. So you need to be lucky, son. And I feel like me, Rich, and Jace are part of like the Last Word on Spurs too. You know, like how you get like RTV2 after the main show. This is us.
Just catch up on the. Just catch up briefly.
We're big last word on Spurs, little last word on Spurs, isn't we? Like big brother's little brother.
I tell you what, any Spurs fan will tell you every game matters, right? And this game does matter for some. I've got to be honest and say that. I really honestly mean that from the bottom of my heart. That I don't think we should be coming into this game and being looking at it any way in which the other games are. I know it's not the level we want to be playing at. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you still want to see a level of integrity, some competitiveness, and. Jace, we'll start with you because Spurs, we do go one down in Paços. It was a disappointing display, showing from those players that, a lot of them are players that want to force their way into the first team. The likes of Winks, the likes of Doherty, likes of Lo Celso, Davis, all poor. And, I've got to say that we couldn't even sustain the pressure 1-0 down. And, I think Nuno may need to recall some of his cavalry for the second leg because depending on how bothered he is about that competition, that was a really rough night. I mean, the full debut for Romero, probably not what we wanted to see so far. Gill, pretty bright in spells. But what did you make overall, Jay, to that performance?
Well, I thought it was, you're right, it's an experimental side, let's say, of players that are on the fringes or of young players trying to make their way. Often you get a lack of rhythm or anything from those, especially from those who haven't taken much part in pre-season. But they're the opportunities that are going to be afforded to the likes of to Winks, to Doherty and players like that. And they simply have to come up with something. And the disappointment for me tonight is that that's a level that Winks and Lo Celso should be able to dominate a midfielding. And I can't remember one decent ball from the pair of them all night long. I mean, it summed it up, didn't it? There was a bit in the first half where Lo Celso, with a neat bit in play in midfield, had a simple 5-yard ball left of him to Sessegnon and gave it away. And you think, come on, Gio. I mean, we're critical of Ndombele and people like that. But when are we really going to look at him and think, are we getting anything from him that we expected? Because it's appalling, his performance tonight. And, as the game wore on, I think the last 30 minutes, he barely touched the ball. He never looked like he wanted the ball. The amount of square and backwards passing from Doherty, you think it reminded me of Trippier tonight. Every time somebody came near him, I stopped running and just pass it infield. And, it was just appalling from those players. And they didn't give the young lads, I mean, I felt sorry for Scarlett. They're constantly hoofing the ball up front to him, a flat ball in the air. And you'd expect senior players to think, hold on, this is not playing to me. We've got to try and deliver it to his feet with an angled pass, but they didn't. And, it showed the futility of everyone's talking about Hitchin and Paratici being on the phone, but tonight's a night where you actually see we haven't even replaced Carlos Vinicius. These are the games that he played in last year and looked all right at this level of game. We haven't even replaced him. So, it was shocking all round tonight. And the second leg, you're right, he'll have to go a little bit stronger, but it wouldn't be the younger players I'd leave out. It would be the likes of Winks, Doherty and Lo Celso. I don't think they deserve the chance to play. I don't want to single the younger players out because that's tough on them. But those senior players were absolutely woeful tonight.
Rich, let's come to you because, Jason echoes a lot of the thoughts that I feel there. It was a disappointing defeat, but, some will probably feel that it is highly a disaster given they look at that lineup, given that there is a second leg to come. I think more worrying than the result is, like Jason touched upon there, is that none of the senior players that we had in that team really stepped up. And, when you play a team like that, you need more from your senior pros. We mentioned the likes of Winks, Lo Celso, Davies, Doherty. It's not been good enough. And you think if these players have actually got ambition to want to stay at Tottenham and want to get back in the team, they've got to show more than what they've shown, haven't they? Surely they've got to.
Yeah, very much so, Rick. And even down to Carter Vickers, who that was his first competitive game since 2017. And I think one of our own, John Wenham, put on the group saying that I think it's 111 games that he's had out on loan. So, he's been there since 2017, hasn't got a start. So why is he still there? He's not going to make it into that team. So why are we not trying to move him on? Send him off somewhere. So even down to that level. So when you look at it with Cameron Carter-Vickers as well, with Winks and with Doherty and with Davies in that side and Lo Celso, that's half the team is like senior pros or been somewhere around that first team. So, it wasn't even just a team fully stuffed with kids. And, Jason's right. You can't really speak about them. That's the sort of type of game that they want and start getting some experience of meaningful games with a little bit of something riding on it. Scarlett tonight, no chance. Absolutely no chance. Not only was it balls in the air, it was floated balls in the air. So he didn't have any power. Even if he took a ball, he had no power to put to deflect off. It was just rubbish. Woeful tactics. Even Sessegnon, fleeting, absolutely fleeting. A couple of fleeting moments in the second half. Here's another, kid that's coming through, been out on loan, and just beginning to break into that first team. So all of a sudden, you're looking at 6 or 7 now, and maybe not tonight is the worry because, like you say, there's the second leg and everything, and it's maybe a competition. Personally, I think we should go for it. You should always go for cup games. I can't believe
I totally agree. Yeah.
On Twitter people saying, "Oh yeah, it's only the conference." It's a cup. It's a cup competition. We haven't won one for ages. Go and put one on the shelf. It makes you want to win more. You speak to any of the old players, win your first one, makes you want that second one. So tonight was not the worry so much. But the established players were. The worry is when we get later into the season, when that first 11 get any injuries, any suspension, that's what we've got coming through. And it's woefully short. Absolutely woefully short.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the biggest concern. Listen, we are going to touch upon, of course, the summer transfer window, because I know Jason, off air, we've discussed the need to do more business, the need to refresh the squad, replenish the squad, upgrade, improve the squad. There's no doubt about that. It's not been the summer that I think we've all wanted so far, and we have got such little time left to try and improve what we've got here. But, Ant, coming around to you, I'm going to be honest with you, Ant, I'm probably sure you're the same as me. I've never seen this Portuguese side play, but I think when you look at the squad that we took there, bearing in mind this is a side that did beat Porto last season, I'm still fairly confident that we will get past them in the second leg. But do you think that the squad we took there, was that disrespectful to them? Should we have offered more? Should we have taken some of the players that we took?
They wanted it, Rick. They wanted more. Rick, they wanted it more. And I'm going to echo what the lads have said. It wasn't good enough tonight. You shouldn't be going out there with the squad that supposedly this really good squad of youngsters, etc., with the main boys that have been playing week in, week out for Spurs the last couple of seasons that we touched upon. They're not good enough, mate. They are not good enough. And this person's right. Lo Celso isn't Eriksen's replacement and never will be. He's absolutely spot on. There was no creativity, no shots on target. You can't put the blame on Scarlett. You know, Scarlett's one of them strikers, like a Defoe. He'll run onto a ball, isn't it? You need he's pace. You're not giving the ball forward so he can run onto it. None of that. No one knew what they were doing. There was no game plan. And as for that midfield, I'm not going to mention the bloke's name because he just does my head in, and I'm fed up of it now. And unfortunately, he's one of them that needs to go. Yeah, exactly, Jace. You know what I'm talking about. It's a bit like give us a clue.
That was subtle. That was subtle, Jace. Very subtle.
I'm just fed up with it, Rick. I'm fed up with it, mate. And I think that, you know, it's a cup competition that we should try and go for. Why not? You know,
Yeah,
it's just
it is.
everyone goes for cup competitions. Why are we Spurs fans going, yeah, but it's a muggy competition? Sorry, we need to go out there and try and win it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? The hard thing that I'm trying to understand is that when you look at the team we had there was, as we know, none of those players have pretty much ever played together as a unit. You know, they may have obviously trained for a couple of days. I mean, obviously, there wouldn't have been much time to train at all with the City game, and you obviously had a rest in between that. But, you know, when you think about it, Jace, you know, as I said, it's a young team, never played together. I think that does show, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that's probably one of the most weakest and worst squads that we've had I say worst squads, I mean worst 11s that we've combined there in a very, very long time, discounting the summer signings. But when you look overall at the depth of what we've got there, it does show you just the real need to invest in this team. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, what did I say? 17, 18 new players or something 2 years ago. So those players that we know are not good enough for the first team, and you can see it. Their standards are not good enough even for Paços de Ferreira. You know, I think the whole approach to it, I'm probably disagreeing with the two lads. I think we're in that stage where the Premier League games are so much more important than this particular competition. I'm all for going for the Carabao Cup. I'm all for going for the FA Cup this year. But this thing, you know, to be honest, does nothing. And I think, you know, that maybe some of those first team players just think, what the hell are we playing in a tournament like this for? I'm not saying that attitude in them is right, but you know, we saw it last year. I think Mourinho alluded to when we played the defeats in Antwerp, and that the first team players just aren't motivated to play, and that now we've gone down even a level from that. So that's a problem for them. But it's just not good. I kind of almost would sooner seen the entire under 23 side that would have a little bit of cohesion because they're all playing together. And maybe they're playing with Markandé, with Bennett and things like that. So the natural movements and combined movements is better than having a first team players that don't know what the kids are doing. The kids don't know what the first team players are doing. And you get that lack of rhythm. And the first team players that aren't there, I mean, you know, Gio's last game, for instance, and I mean, it does my head in, but he's just come back from the last game he played is Brazil v Argentina in a final, and he's suddenly playing in that. Yeah. So, you know, he's thinking, what the hell am I doing here? And we're trying to get 9, you know, and when you've left all those players at home, it kind of sends the message to the team, well, we're not that fussed about it. So and those first team players think, well, if we're not fussed about it, why the hell have I had to come out here? Instead, then where's Sissoko and Ndombele and Oria? And in that case, send them out here. So it's a whole mishmash of things. There's so many reasons, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough, and that squad is not good enough.
Yeah. And I'm going to come around to you next. I'll come around to Rich in a second. And I know, listen, it's not a nice stat, this, but Spurs become the first English club to lose games in each of the Champions League, European Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup, Europa League, the Intertoto, and now the Europa Conference League. It was always going to happen at some point, but it's not nice to take that first L, is it really?
Considering we weren't in the Champions League till 2010, how are we the first British team to lose the Champions League game?
I think they're referring to the fact that Europa League, they're saying we're the first team to lose and including the Europa Conference League. Hence,
no, but I mean, we can't possibly be the first English team to have lost a Champions League game.
I think that stat is referring to the fact that we're the first team to lose in each of those competitions, all of them combined, Jace.
Okay, all right.
Still doesn't make it any better, but I mean, it is what it is, Ant, right? It's Spurs.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
always going to get that L, wasn't we? We was going to get that L at some point.
It's Spurs. That's what we do, isn't it? We always disappoint us.
Let's temper that a little bit with West Ham, Villa, and quite a few other teams. Everton haven't even been in a Champions League game to lose. So, you know, it's better to have been in a game and lost it rather than never have been in it at all. So, I mean, you know, you can use it as a bit of a crappy stick to beat Spurs with, but, you know, it's a record.
But it's the agenda, Rich. It's the agenda.
Of course it is.
It's Spurs, isn't it? They want to, you know, have a niggle at us all the time and have a bit of banter about us.
Rich, coming over to you. Obviously, when the team did come out, and you know, he's only his second competitive game in charge. Of course, it looked very different to the 11 what you saw on Sunday. It was obviously he made 11 changes, rested all those players. Still no place for the likes of Harry Kane, Sissoko, and Ndombele, Oria, who have all been left to train at Hotspur away. We know Joe Rodon missed out with a thigh injury. As things stands, he's a doubt for the weekend. Dane Scarlett, 17-year-old striker, he made his first competitive appearance for the club. New signings Christian Romero, Brian Gill, and Pierluigi Golini all started alongside Winks, Davis, Doherty, Ryan, Sessegnon. In terms of the 11 when it came out, Rich, was there any surprise, or was that you were roughly expecting from Nuno?
Yeah, I think we was going to see a bit of a make-do put together 11, and Jason's absolutely right. You've mismatched to a point where you've got these senior players that didn't know what the youngsters were doing. The youngsters don't really know what the seniors were doing, and we'd have probably been better off going all or nothing, to be honest, in this. So either put like a good first 11 out, or an under 23 side that do know each other. And I think it was quite telling watching Nuno this evening. Every time the camera cut to him, you know, he's rubbing his beard and he's grimacing, and you know, he had that look of like, oh my days, what have I walked into? What have I walked into here, like, you know? And but it was a worry, you know. Like, Winks, I know. If I say Winks 3 times, he's going to appear, I think. So I've mentioned it twice now. I best not. The man, he's like the Scottish. You sure
he won't disappear if you say it 3 times?
Yeah. Oh, well, hang on. Winks. Let's see. And but you know, I was expecting him to get hold of the game by the scruff of the neck, to be speaking to the youngsters, to be around him and giving them a little bit of guidance. Same with Davies, you know, you just did not see them. I didn't see them pulling the youngsters along. It was 87.5 minutes when I saw Davies on the screen go like this, geeing the players up. Like, where's that from 2-3 minutes in? Getting behind the youngsters. I didn't see them going over and speaking to any of the youngsters at all and giving them a bit of a G up and taking them leadership qualities, and that was the worry. And I mean, with the youngsters as well, you don't want to be too hard on them, but with a lack of cohesion as a team tonight, because it was a scratch, you was hoping to maybe see 1 or 2 youngsters, and you went, oh, hello, he looks a bit tasty. Look, he's got no fear. He's gone up against the 34, 35-year-old Brazilian pro that's been round the block, which their team seems to be made up of. He's dropped a shoulder. He's like a little bit of youth, a little bit of bravery, and we didn't see that either. And that was a worry. I like to see some youngsters come and get hold of a game and go on then, like Tanganga on Sunday.
Brilliant,
like, absolutely incredible.
Brilliant.
Absolutely incredible. He put Sterling in his pocket. He put Grealish in his pocket. He done it in his debut at Liverpool. Where was those youngsters tonight? Some like a little bit braver, you know, in the lack of a team cohesion. So a real worry.
Jace, what do you make of that comment on the screen there? This is why Harry Kane should get out of the club. Zero ambition. You know, too bad for new players to come into this club. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but I said it on the group today. I don't want to discuss Harry Kane for 1 second tonight. I'm fed up with it.
He's not here. I mean, the thing is, he's not here, and he's still training. There's no.
He's not here. It's you know, for whatever reason, he's not here. bored with seeing it on Sky Sports News and that without talking about it tonight. He's not part of that team. Let's just talk about tonight and the Wolves game and rather than Harry Kane tonight, please.
Yeah, I mean, let's come around back to you, because first goal, I say only goal of the game, but Silva beating the offside trap, and he finished 1v1 versus Galini, and Winks giving away the ball. Was a complete
Whose mistake? Whose mistake was it, Rick? Who gave the ball away?
Harry Winks giving away the ball.
Yeah. In the middle of the park, on their side.
Yeah.
So from a mistake from supposedly number 8, went all the way to the other side and he scored. All right. The defenders were so tight, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's just they were just all over the place, mate.
Yeah.
But it's a mistake from us. It's not like they worked the ball. It's a mistake from us that caused them to score. And that's what winds me up with this team.
Do you know what, I've got to say, just on Winks, because obviously I think the thing is that I think we haven't really had a debate about Winks in general. The thing for me is that at the moment, he just looks completely overwhelmed at times in trying to cover as this kind of makeshift midfielder. I think he's lost all of his shape. He's lost his identity. I don't think he knows what he is, if I'm being honest with you, man. I don't think he even knows anymore what he is. Do you know what he is? Do you know what he's trying to achieve?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Perhaps he thinks he's a plasterer from Cleethorpes or something, because he don't seem to think he's a footballer at the moment. He's just like, it's just nothing. He got bullied tonight.
Is that down to confidence, Rich? Is that down to confidence, or is that down to ability? What is it down to?
It's ability, mate. It's ability. It's not there. It's not there at that level for us. They've obviously watched us and videos of us like leading up to the game, because they singled Winks out and bullied him. He got absolutely bullied. There was one stage where where one of the midfielders bullied him, and he went back after him, and then he just went, he like threw his hands up. He was like Kevin the teenager from Harry Enfield. He was just like, it's so unfair. It was just, he just gave up.
It's ridiculous.
He didn't even take a swipe and take a booking for it. You wouldn't mind even if he'd done that. He literally just gave up. He missed, just honestly, his time's done. His race is run. Absolutely.
I think,
Jace, can you add to that? Can you add anything more to Winks at all? Go on, go for it.
No, I think, as I said on one of the previous shows, what is he actually good at? He doesn't score. He doesn't assist. He doesn't really pass. All he's good at is.
I know you're not being disrespectful there. You're just asking that question.
No, his positional play is not good enough. He dives into tackles, gives free kicks away on the box. What's his strength? What are you putting him in the team to do?
I don't think he knows himself.
He doesn't even do the cheerleading like Stefan Freund used to. I mean, he's like an English Stefan Freund. But at least Stefan Freund used to go and do a bit of cheerleading to block 31 and 32 and buy everyone a beer half time. You ain't even getting that off a Winks. You ain't even getting that cheerleader thing, like that bit of a cult hero, like the lad that does really do everything. It just isn't good enough. It's just nothing. It's nothing to him. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Jason, I mean, on that performance for Winks there, I mean, I know he's not foolish. He knows he's not going to be in Nunes' first team, right? So he's got to surely be using these games that he is going to get, and I presume he may get next week. He's got to be using that surely as an opportunity to sell himself in the window. I mean, you've got to wonder on the back of a performance like that, who's going to really come calling?
Well, I don't know. Was there any League One and League Two games tonight? Because their people would have been watching those games. So, I shouldn't think they send scouts to watch Tottenham in Europe from Rochdale and Darlington and Wigan Athletic. So, and sadly, that's the level that he's playing at. He's a better player than that. But I mean, we're talking about it as well. Winks has been at this level now for 2.5 years. We've seen nothing for the last couple of years to suggest he's going to. It's a long time ago since we were calling Winks Siesta.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous. But at least he looks like there was a player in him. But for the last 2.5, 3 years, we've seen absolutely nothing from him. Yeah. Nothing to suggest.
Just on this point. Go on, Ant. Go for it. No, come on.
I was going to say to Jace as well, and you, Rick. Me and Rich obviously have been talking about it tonight. Does Harry Winks? I'm not singling him out, but we're talking about him? Does he get into any of the top 10 Premier League sides in the Premiership?
Not at the moment. Not in the Premier League. No, I wouldn't think so. Not at the moment.
He doesn't. So why is he at number 8? And why is he starting for us last year, week in, week out? Enough. We've got to stop in the middle.
And I think you could say the same. Why is Sissoko still here? Why is Davis still here?
Yeah,
you know, there's a clutch of players that if Spurs want to be where we want to be as supporters, these players are just not good enough for where we want to be. Question on the screen here. And we'll stick with you on this one. This is from Chris Checkit, who says, you can say the same about Giovanni Lo Celso. What does he do? Doesn't assist, doesn't score, doesn't offer anything. Do you agree with that?
I've not seen him progress at all, Rich. Have you, Jace? I haven't seen GLC do anything to warrant the fact of being Eriksen's replacement. Enough of this. We can't keep comparing. He's his own player. As Jace said, he's just come back from the Copa America after winning it with Argentina. So there is a player there. But he comes to Spurs and he's not great. I just don't see what the progression is in 2.5, 3 seasons. It's done nothing.
He's as good as the old Greater London Council, and they were the GLC as well.
I think the GLC under Red Ken was more effective than GLC that we've got.
It's the General Electric company, isn't it?
Can I ask, boys, back to the goal, the conceding of the goal. I mean, Romero was caught really square on, I thought, Jace.
He was.
And, you know, we've made, you know, a big hoo-ha about bringing this guy in for a massive fee. And listen, don't get me wrong, I'm sure, given time, given games, I'm sure he's going to prove his worth. Hopefully, we want to believe that. Was that a concerning display for you and Romero?
I thought so. I thought there was times when 1v1 he looked, you know, diving in. I mean, the bit late in the second half when he dived in at the halfway line and things like that. I thought he looked no better than Fazio. Obviously, he comes with a better reputation.
That's a big statement, but I did worry. You know, I was saying at the time,
Yeah,
my only concern was spending all this money on a player like that, and I felt all the time. Listen, I hope he's going to become world class for Tottenham. I hope he's going to go on and achieve great things here. But my only concern is that we was in almost like a one-horse race for him a little bit. I know there was interest apparently from Barcelona, but I mean, Rich, your thoughts on Romero, because I think Nuno said after the game, we need to be patient with all the players. When a player changes country, we need to realise that we need to be patient. How I think the quality Romero has, his adaptation will be quicker. What do you think, Rich? Would you be quick to put him on the weekend?
No, you can't go by anything tonight with Romero. It's a first game. He's played in amongst a team that he's not going to be playing with, that was making mistakes that he won't have to face dealing with when he does get into the first team. I mean, tonight where he was a little bit forward, he's probably thinking to himself, there's no way a professional footballer is going to lose the ball where Winks did. So, but he did, and then got caught for it. So, you know, he's probably getting up to speed with who's who within the team. I guarantee you next week, if Romero sat behind Winks again, he won't push up like he did. He'll be back another 10 yards, ready for him to lose the ball. So, I mean, you know, players like that, you've got to give them like at least half a season just to get up to speed. The Premier League, like no other league in the world for speed and everything. He's got to move in. I know he's going to get a lot of help from the club with aid and stuff. Of course. Settling in and finding houses and filling forms out. But, you know, I learned myself that moving to another country is a huge task. I'm nearly 2 years in and still doing things now to get settled in. So, and it's a huge task. So, no, you've got to give him at least half a season, bare minimum, before you can make any judgment. And look at him in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, I think we've got to say also.
I think that's fair, but you know, when you see his yellow card record for 2 years in Italy, and it's 14 bookings and 10 bookings a season, so that tells you he can get caught in, and he is perhaps a little bit rash.
But what I would say, Jason, is from what I saw during the game, I thought he looked quite comfortable on the ball, was happy to stride up the pitch on numerous occasions. Yeah. I think we also have to take into account, and I know you're going to probably agree with this as well, he's got Cameron Carter-Vickers next to him.
But his moments, there were 1 or 2 moments of his individual defending where he still is perhaps a little bit too diving in-y. And that yellow card record, so he will have to adapt to that because teams will play on that. And
but I do think there's a need. Trouble. I think there's a need that we've all said that if you're gonna buy someone like Romero in, you've got to give him the right centre back partner to see the best of him. And you know, putting him with, and I want to say this now, putting him with Dyer, putting him with Sanchez, despite how good they were at the weekend, and then putting him with Carter-Vickers, I just don't think you're going to see the best of the guy. Especially when you say that, you know, his yellow card record
Rick, that Craig Bowler's just made a really good point. Romero stepped up for that goal. He probably stepped up to where the defence should have been. And Carter Vickers was like Cameron Cartle's Vickers. Like, he was 10 yards back. He caused that gap that their forward was able to drop into and stay on side. So, like, Romero was probably like correctly positioned. Carter Vickers was like, I don't know, he was just thinking about going and get himself some peri-peri chicken and like a couple of bottles of something from duty free on the plane back. He was just absolutely napping. So yeah, you just can't really look. You can't really look at Romero at all.
No. I mean, I honestly think, you know, given the time. Listen, we've spent a lot of money on this guy. They would have done their due diligence. They would have done their scouting. You're not going to spend the amount of money we've spent on him if you don't believe. Do you not agree, Jace? If you don't believe he's going to be successful.
Due diligence and scouting. Well, they didn't on Ndombele, did they?
Well, I mean, Ndombele, what I would say is Ndombele is, and we're going to come on to maybe him later in the show, Ndombele, you can't question the talent. Attitude, yes. Application, yes. Talent, you can't question it. So the thing with, you know, you're hoping with someone like Romero is, if the talent's as good as Ndombele and the attitude's right, we've got a wonderful player there. Well, we all hope that's the case. We are going to go, guys, for a very quick break for our listeners on audio. For our listeners on YouTube, like I say, we're going to be cracking on. We're going to be discussing, like I say, some of the players that featured there. And, of course, looking forward to Wolves to come. Nuno, after the game, coming over to you, Rich, he said, not so good in terms of the performance. And he made a point in saying that it impacts a lot in terms of the feel-good factor because that disappears. I mean, I think, you know, I do believe that he generally approached that game tonight looking to win it. I did see comments after the game saying he threw it. You know, I don't think, you know, when you're a club like Tottenham who haven't won a trophy for as long as we have, you're of that mindset of throwing this game. Regardless of the achievement you get is Europa League again, I don't think he would want to just dismiss the cup and throw it. So for him to say that, do you agree that from a feel-good factor, it's not the greatest thing to have going into Wolves on Sunday?
No, I mean, wins breed wins, you know, and wins breed confidence as well. So, but again, you know, he'll probably be speaking to his first 11 and saying, not, you know, pay no mind to that. You just concentrate on what you've done last Sunday versus Man City and go from now. What it would, you know, I don't think it breeds like an underconfidence. What that might well do, the problem that you could get, is breed a little bit of complacency into the current first 11. But would have looked at that and gone, well, my place is safe because I've not seen anybody in that second string now that's going to come and take my place off of me. If you get a better performance from somebody like Winks and Davis and Doherty and the Kelso, the players in the current 11 will be going, oh, hang on a minute. He looked a bit tasty tonight. He stepped up. He looked like he was offering a bit of leadership and a little bit of something. I better be on my game at Wolves on Sunday because otherwise Nuno's going to go, well, you know, the Kelso didn't look bad, did he? He looked like he fancies it. So that more than not really the confidence is the complacency it could end up breeding. So that would be my main worry.
Yeah, agree. Before we do go to some of the player ratings, Jace, we've got a load of listener questions here. I think we had over 60 on the Last Word On Spurs Twitter thread. So thank you ever so much for all those questions. We'll take a flavour of them right now. And this is from Nikki at Highland Spurs 1, who says, "Would love us to win any trophy, but we'd be getting knocked out of this competition would be such a bad thing for us during this season of transition and rebuild." How much does it mean to you, Jace, this competition?
Well, it means nothing to me. Honestly, I'm not concerned if we get knocked out of it at all. I think, you know, you win it and you go into the Europa League. Well, surely at the minimum we expect from our league form is to qualify for the Europa League. So, and I just think, you know, I'm even against Nuno being out there as well. Nuno's lost a day yesterday and a day today of preparing for the Wolves game. And I think the Premier League games and then attack the two domestic cup competitions. This is, you know, when it was the Europa League and you think the price for winning that is an entry to the Champions League, that's one thing. But the price for winning this is entry to the Europa League. And you think, surely we want to be looking to target a top 6 finish, so we should be in it anyway. I think it's a developmental competition, and I'd let Mason have, or, you know, we had a good friend in the stadium tonight, even let him run the game. for the team. I'm not, I think, why are we taking even the coaching staff out there? So for me, I know there's this desire to win a trophy and things like that, but that's the Audi Cup for me has got more relevance than this competition has.
Do you genuinely mean that? You honestly mean that?
I've no relevance to this competition whatsoever. No relevance to it at all. And the chances are we'll lose to Mourinho in the final, so he gets his other half a trophy.
Rich, do you feel the same as that? Because I mean, to me, I would like to see us progress in this competition. I would like to see. I disagree with Jason. I would like to see us go further in it because I do think it's a great development tool for the youngsters. I think it's an opportunity as well to give players minutes where we want to think we're going to have more than just an 11 every weekend. We're going to need the squad eventually. That are going to need games to have rhythm, to have consistency. That players do feel they're part of the squad. Therefore, do you still want us to be part of this, Rich? If we can try and get through.
Yeah, I differ from Jason now. If we'd have won a couple of FA Cups in the last 10, 15 years and a League Cup and maybe the Europa League or something, I'd go, well, okay, look, it weren't so long ago we won a couple of cups. We've had nothing, Rick, absolutely nothing. We need to start putting some cups on the table. And this is as good a start, somewhere to start as anywhere. The problem you've got with today's modern game, I would hazard a guess that finishing one place higher in the Premier League, if you finish 6th instead of 7th, probably earns you more than what you would earn out of this this Conference League as a whole. Even getting to the final and winning it, you're probably going to earn less as a club than finishing 1 or 2 places higher in the Premier League. So this is the problem you've got, is that you've probably got the chairman and the board saying to Nuno, look, don't risk any of the first 11 because 3 points on Sunday is more valuable to us at the end of the season than us winning this whole competition. So there's this balance to be struck because, as we know, it's not all about football anymore. It's about pounds in the bank account and that. But look, if we get to the final of this and win it, and we see whoever's captain, come the day, lift that trophy, you'll remember it forever. You will remember it forever. You remember every cup win. No matter what you think of the competition, it's a European Cup competition. You'll remember it. You'll have a medal from it and a memory. If you finish 5th instead of 6th, it just goes into the ether. You don't remember, that season we come 5th instead of 6th and the club earned another 750 grand because of it. Hurrah. Means nothing. So, no, every cup competition matters, especially for a starved club like us. It really does.
And let's come around to you. One of the players, obviously, that we're playing tonight that Nuno knows very well is Matt Doherty. A player there that, when I was watching him again this evening, there's a real lack of quality to his passing and his crossing from the right early on. And I don't think he made much of an impact. A player that, you think a manager coming in would have known very, very well, would have been a great opportunity tonight, having seen how well Jaffet played at the weekend against City. He must have thought to himself, I've got to up my game. I'm going to have to up my game because on the back of that performance, from Jaffet, I think it's going to be very hard to displace him for Wolves at the weekend. Is Doherty part of Nuno's plans, or do you think if we have to get a good offer for him, you consider it?
I don't think he'll leave this season.
And it's just frozen. So, Jace, we'll come to you on that very quickly whilst we get the connection back with Ant and Crackers. Jace, what do you think about that in terms of Matt Doherty? Is he a player for you that potentially we can try and get the best out of, or are you concerned long term about Matt Doherty and Tottenham in terms of that relationship and how that's going to work?
Well, I mean, if you think about it logically, Nuno was happy to sell him for 12 million. So, that should set, we're all thinking Nuno will get the best out of him, but Nuno obviously didn't think the best out of him was good enough. That's why he flogged him for 12 million. I mean, you get more going forward from Serge Aurier. And I'm certainly not advocating, we want to keep Serge Aurier either. But of those two players, there's Aurier gives you far more than Matt Doherty's done. Yeah, okay, Doherty might not make the idiotic rash challenge that Aurier does, but at least with Aurier you do get something going forward. But Doherty's just been woeful, and it was a woeful performance again. It's the times, Rick, today that the ball was played to him, and you think you've got there's 10 yards between where you're receiving the ball and the next defender. So you could at least run with the ball 10 yards to that man. But it was immediately he saw somebody and thought, no, I won't take him on. So it's going infield with yards of space. I think why it's just shows you a lack of courage with the ball, lack of confidence with the ball. You know, you should be thinking, I can at least go and attack him. And there's a back three behind me, so somebody should be covering me if I did lose it there. But nothing, no courage on the ball whatsoever, and that's really poor.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll just get your thoughts then. Obviously, we just lost you before. Unfortunately, you froze there. But Matt Doherty, for you, and a player, as I said, on the back of that weekend performance from Japhet Tanganga, he's going to have to thought to himself, I've got to step my game up. As I said to you before you went there, do you think he will eventually come back and will show some competitiveness for that position?
When we appointed Nuno, I think we did a last word on Spurs, myself, you and Jace, when obviously the night he got appointed. And you said, which players do you think will shine? And obviously I said Doherty because he's worked with him for 2-3 years under him at Wolves. So I was quite excited to see the Doherty that was at Wolves. And unfortunately, I don't know where he is. He's a shadow of his former self. His confidence is gone. He's not the player that he once was for Wolves. That used to, when would play us, would be absolutely outstanding. And I think for now, I don't think an offer will come in this transfer window. But if it's January or next summer, I think they would look to move him on.
I think he's been overawed, Rick, to be honest. I was speaking to somebody when I was out in Ireland a while ago, but, a little bit, spoke to a friend of somebody that knows, his uncle, blah, blah, blah. And he was saying that he was overawed by the way everything was at the club, the size of it, the training, the players around him. So, and I think that happens sometimes. I think some players do struggle to actually make a step up. But I don't know, is Wolves and Spurs really that big a step up? It's like, there's obviously a bigger step up in stadium, expectation maybe, training facilities. But, I mean, if that is the case that he's sort of been a little bit overawed by the size and expectation and everything, then you have to question his ambitions, really. Or at least by now he would have been settled in and it's all become the norm for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rich, as well, and we've seen it so many times at this level that sometimes players that go for that bigger step up, sometimes the club just naturally just isn't the right fit and they're used to playing in more of a goldfish bowl. There's no disrespect to Wolves, but I just think sometimes having that step up is always tricky. And on the tongue is another player of mine that I just still the jury's out for me. I want to believe it's going to be a real positive season for him because he had a really good loan spell. And that's Ryan Sessegnon coming to you, Jace, because he had a big tackle in his own box on the 16th minute to stop what would have been a big, big chance. Other than that, really, he failed to make an impact on the first half, I thought, but improved in the second half in a more advanced role before coming off. You feel this is a really big season for him, Jace, Ryan Sessegnon. Do you still have massively high hopes for him?
Season, and I think I said to you right at the start, I do have big hopes for him. I think I said on one of the shows, I expect him to have pushed Reguilón out the side. I think that's the hopes I've got for him.
You generally believe that, yeah? You think he can go on to achieve that?
I said I hoped that he would be able to push Reguilón out the side.
Yeah.
But there's no signs of that at the moment. I think you're right where you're talking about a player that struggles to adapt to he's in awe of the place, and maybe that's it. I think he said at one stage last year that Jose was trying to get him to be more vocal and he kind of got into his shell. He's got to show more maturity. I thought the second half today, he was the one player that was trying to do something constructive for us, despite actually doing absolutely nothing. But there was an intent to try and take his man on and beat him a couple of times, which is what I've just accused Doherty of being too much of a coward to do. So at least there was an intent to do it, but he's got to show a hell of a lot more than he did today. That's for sure.
It's just at the moment you just generally feel that Craig says it here. He feels Sess isn't showing enough. I just wonder again whether that's more again maybe a lack of confidence. It's a level where it was always a concern. I think coming from a club like Fulham, relegated, it's a massive, giant step up to then suddenly come to Tottenham and then try and challenge and nail down a first team spot. And I genuinely hope that he can go on and do that. I really do. But I think at the moment he's going to need, for me, potentially a regular run of games. And you think every game is so important. And
exactly,
you do wonder, is it possible where he's going to be able to get those games?
And that's where a game. Exactly, and that's where a game like tonight is so important, because they're going to be their only opportunities. And that's clearly not good enough. Clearly not good enough what he's given tonight. But there's a hell of a lot of work to do for him and a number of that squad, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah. Richard, has come back around to you. Another, this one of Davidson, Brian Hill, breezed past his man with ease in one of the first touches of the ball to create a half chance for Sessegnon. He had real confidence on the ball. I think it's fair to say, looked like he might be the one player to actually make something happen. But he's wandering in the first half, also frustrated some of his teammates as it tends to lost its shape. But in the second half, had little impact. I think it's fair to say he looked quite tired. Nuno after the game said, we still need to find the best position for him. Having watched him, Rich, for that brief highlight or cameo, should we say, you got any idea where you'd like to see him play in the Spurs team, or is it far too early to try and gauge where he might fit in when everybody's fit?
Oh, they're frozen again.
Oh,
they're struggling tonight.
So what? These two are like the Spurs' defence two at the moment in terms of that.
And Crack.
And Crack, yeah. Jace, let's ask you on that. In terms of Brian Hill for you, very, very early stages, of course. Only we saw like 50, 60-minute cameo. But is there enough for you to think there's a potential player in there?
A couple of nice glimpses on the ball, and that was it. But it does make a difference when you get a ball in a certain area and you look up and you see Son and Mora and Ali and Kane making a forward run into the box than just Dane Scarlett. And that's no disrespect to Dane Scarlett. So, there's a lot more options and things like that for you to find a pass and look a better player. But as you say, it was a lovely turn really early on. But again, a bit like Cess, there was times when he looked good, but actually did nothing. And that was our problem tonight. Even our good parts actually achieved nothing at the end of it, was there? There wasn't a single ball that was really... other than that the third minute when he played the ball in to Sessegnon on that near post, we never whipped a dangerous ball into the box. There was never a 1v1 situation. There was just no end product all night from any part of the field.
Yeah, let's go back around to Rich. Rich, before we've got to catch you before you go at this rate, in terms of this connection. Rich, with regards to Brian Hill, a very early stage, as I said, we saw some glimpses of some promising features of his game. Do you know where he'd maybe fit in? If everybody was fit, would he be that high up in your list in terms of a first team player?
Yeah, I think we have to see how he progresses. He's definitely one for the future, and he's very, very highly rated in Spain. So there's a lot of talk about him. I see him down that wing. I see him getting a chance. But again, he's young. It's early days. So we've just got to see how he progresses. Nuno may see something where he plays him a little bit more inside in certain games. But he's certainly got a good touch and a little touch and go, and to get past his man, definitely. He's got a good turn on him. I mean, they're sort of calling him the Spanish Cruyff, which I hate that sort of thing when you start saying like the youngsters, but exactly, you're going to have to go a long way to get anywhere near him. But he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and one I'm really excited to see how he progresses. If his current trajectory stayed the same of how well he's done, I think we've got a player there. But we have seen players like that before. We saw Harry Winks, and we thought to ourselves, "Oh wow, here's a player in the middle of the park," and look what happened. So let's see if he goes more down the Cruyff route than the Winks route. Let's hope it's the former rather than the latter.
I think at the moment you're looking at somebody that comes off the bench, 20 minutes to go, and as a slow introduction to the games, and perhaps at 1-0 up is not the right time, but if you go 2-0 up or something like that, and you can try and catch a team on the break late on, maybe that's how I think he'll be introduced, a slow introduction.
What about that comment there, and come around to you? This is on Dave B. Says, well, how are we buying a player in which we don't know where he plays? There's in reference to Nuno saying that he needs to find the best position for him. Is that quite concerning?
Well, yeah, because why would he say that? I mean, it's, obviously he wanted this player along with Paratici. So if he's there saying, "Oh, I don't know where he plays," it's a bit, because as I said, it's worrying.
Yeah, but that does happen with players sometimes. I mean, Henri played out on the left wing, and then Wenger put him up front. And look what happened. It does happen sometimes.
I just
you had the lad at Sheffield Wednesday many years ago that played at the back. Paul Walrus played at the back. They threw him up front in one season. I think he's like 21, 22 goals.
Really?
So sometimes it does happen.
Well, we did the same with Gary Doherty. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We needed a striker.
And all I would say to you, Anne, in reference to what you've just said there, and you made a great point that he did buy him, but the problem is we know he didn't buy him because it's Paratici's signings here. Is that already a concern that they're not on the same hymn sheet for you? Or am I looking too much into that? Do you think it's a case that he must have wanted him? Was it attractive?
I love you, man, but you're reading too much into it. Let the geezer just embed him in, as bring him on, as Jay said. 70 minutes, we're 2-0 up. Just let him drive, because he was the only bright spark of today's game. I saw some lovely glimpses of him, and he looked exciting. But
I totally agree.
I'm not getting excited yet. Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think
he may be one of those players that floats a little bit. He's out on the wing, then he comes in, then he goes out on the other wing, and he comes back across, and he just sort of floats around that, and just does that type of role. There is those types of players out there. You do get them, and they sort of float from side to side and then down the middle a little bit, and they don't really have a disciplined role. But and they're a nightmare to mark. They're a nightmare to sit up against. If you've got a player like that, sometimes that's not a bad thing in your side.
Yeah. Listen, I think we've got to have high hopes for him, because the nature of the player like that, he's a tricky player. I think, like Jason says there, I'd agree. I think we're probably going to embed him in very, very slowly. 20 minutes here, half an hour there, and hopefully we're going to be in a position where, he can literally look to become a first-team player. That's all we hope, in Aspire. You spent all this money on this guy. You want to believe he's going to come through to the first team. Just to finish off, guys, Dane Scarlett, in terms of the team out there tonight, again, listen, 17 years old. I think a tough night for him in general. He chased a lot of loose balls. Wasn't really much service to him. After the game, Nuno said he's very young. He has the talent, but as a team, we should have given him more chances. We didn't make any offensive actions of him. I think it's really important Nuno says that, because strikers are ultimately judged on goals, right? So coming over back to you, Ant, on this before I come to Jason. Dane Scarlett, a young player. It looks like he's going to be in and around the squad, it looks like at the moment, because obviously we've let Troy Parrott go out on loan. We haven't yet got a second striker, let alone we've not even touched upon Spurs' first team striker, which I know Jason doesn't want us to tonight. But, generally, and, Dane Scarlett, do you think you get a number of games this season?
He plays in this, doesn't he?
Mate, he'll play in this, and I think if we're winning it, if we're winning in the Premier League comfortably, hopefully he might come on a couple of Premiership minutes here and there. League Cup, hopefully, give him a bit of a run out. But it is worrying that we haven't got another striker. I know we're going to go into it, but to be, one of the only teams in the top 4 tiers of football league to not even have a striker is terrible. It's disgraceful.
Yeah, I mean, let's bring you into that, Jace. Dane Scarlett, I felt very sorry for him. I've got to be honest with you on a game like this, because, strikers are only judged on goals. You've got the service to score, right? He just didn't get any service. Do you think he'll be still part of Nuno's squad come the end of this summer transfer window?
I think he'll be part of the squad, but I think even in these games, he needs some help. Either a genuine partner you put Vinicius and him together, somebody that when the ball was banged in the box might have won it in the air and got knocked down to him. It was almost Jermaine Defoe-esque, where you used to have Crouchy to help him out alongside him or something, or Freddie Canuti used to be able to help out with Defoe. But to just put him on his own and leave him isolated, and like I say, maybe if you got more on one side, Bergwijn the other, there's just that little bit more first team savvy and a bit, a little bit more for him to feed off of. But I think, if we can bring in, like I say, we should sign a Carlos Vinicius replacement, and then, Scarlett would come off the bench in these games with 20 minutes to go in these, because physically it's going to be difficult for him. The lad's developing. So, but you can't be hitting the ball with him with his back to goal, 6 foot up in the air, and expecting anything from him. So, if we don't sign a striker before next week, I'd still let him play, but I'd play him alongside Kane for a chance or something like that, just to try and give the bloke some opportunity, because it would have been soul destroying from tonight. No shot at goal, not even he barely touched the ball in the box, and that's just it's not fair on him. Certainly not worth judging him on it tonight. That's for sure.
No, let's come back around you, Rich. What do you think?
Scarlett, Rick, to give him some credit, what he did keep doing was making the correct runs, because he never actually got given the service. That's another department's issue. He was the bricklayer tonight, the wall maker that got given no bricks. But what he done was he kept sort of going up and down with his cement and trowel and laying it down. Just nobody was feeding him any bricks. But he never dropped his head. He made the runs. He made the correct runs. He was always willing and just never got any service. So, as long as Nuno says to him, I'm happy with what I saw tonight because you've done the right things. It was down to others to feed you. Then that's all good, And I see a cup somebody make a point saying that it might have hurt his confidence a bit. I don't know the lad. He might be a very confident lad that's gone out there and been told, look, you're going to have a bit of a tough lean night tonight, but go out there and let me see what you can do. Come off and gone, okay, fair enough. Didn't get no service tonight, but I've been around the first team, travelled, got a little taste of what's gone on, and I'll go again back to the under 23s, and if I get a chance, I'll go and try and grab it with both hands. So let's see. Early days, 17 years old. I've got shoes older than the lad. So
I bet you have.
Let's see.
Oh, dear.
You got a Wi-Fi signal that's older than him as well, and it's
holding up nicely.
Electricity bill or something.
I did, Jake. Trust me, I did. We've been working on it today.
Oh dear. Guys, before we go for our final break of the show, we're just going to finish up with some quick fire listener questions. We will start with you and your favourite subject. Okay, this is.
I wear boxer shorts. No, sorry, what?
This is from
my favourite colour blue. What?
Adam Smith 882 says, how the hell are we going to shift the Deadwood? Stop playing them as people who actually see how poor they are. My God, he's got a point, to be fair. If you don't play them, how are you going to sell them? I mean, what do you think, Ad?
No, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good question, to be fair, good question.
It's a great question. Listen, we got 11 days now, I think, if memory serves me right, before the end of the window, and I want to see some movement. I need to see some movement as a supporter. I need to see some of that.
Just for reassurance, right? And just for reassurance.
We're being linked with this one, that one, him, them every day, and it's just getting annoying now. We need to identify the targets, go and get them, and shift some of this Deadwood. For sure.
The way you do it, Rick, is to ask for realistic offers.
Yeah.
If somebody offers 5 million for Moussa Sissoko, you take it.
But can I ask you, Jake, do you just think there's clubs that are just not interested in these players? Or do you think you'll always find a buyer? Will you always find a buyer?
You'll always find a buyer, but it has to be really, the clubs that are going to be interested in them are not the types of clubs that are going to come up with 20 million for them.
You just have to take on the chin a little bit, didn't you?
I mean, I think if Burnley, for instance, I bet Burnley would take Moussa Sissoko, but they won't pay 20 million for him. I bet if Moussa Sissoko was available for 5 million, Sean Dyche should take him.
Yeah,
so you've got to give them realistic prices.
Yeah,
you've got to give them realistic prices.
Yeah. Next one, let's come around to you, Rich. We've got to fire these off. We've got to do the Wolves preview. This is from Mark Wilson at Wolves Spurs. Says, are we ever going to pay a little bit more to sign quality players instead of trying to get bargain bucket buys? That will never be good enough for the first 11. We have 3 true quality players in the club, and that's Kane, Son, Højbjerg. The rest are bang average, and that's according to Mark Wilson at Wolves Spurs. Thoughts?
No, I think there's a few more players in that first 11 that's better than that. Lloris in goal is a fabulous goalkeeper. Going to be very, very difficult to replace. He's a World Cup winning captain as well. He's a quality player. listen, if you look by Sunday, Dyer looks a different player under Nuno. He looks like he's refreshed, and he looked okay. If that continues, there's a player. Sanchez, well, I mean, like, who's that player? I didn't see that last season. He came from Ajax with a huge promise, absolutely huge promise. And it looked like on Sunday, he looked like he's being challenged by a new manager. So I think we've got to give this season a few games and see the effect that Nuno has. Dele, again. Dele looked like he fancied it on Sunday. He may be re-energised by a new manager. So all of a sudden, you start getting some players more than good enough to be able to make that first team squad. But look, if Kane does go, then we really have got to have some, like, you know, plug and play, ready to go, out of the box players. We need at least two top quality players, like one up front and even a backup as well, or an Ericsson playmaker. But we've lost. So we need two there straight away. And if you have to go out and do the whole lot that Man City's given you for him, then so be it. If you've got to go and do 60, 70 million each on those players, then so be it. Otherwise, you're going to regress.
I think as well, it's very, you have to be aware. I mean, you know, that particular question, we know that we've bid 65 million for Lauro Martinez. So the question, yes, Tottenham will go and do it. The problem is those players don't want to come. Or the flip side of that is if Inter say, okay, we'll take that offer, for instance, we'll take the 65 million. That player's agent says, right, we know what the level is, but we offer you to Chelsea first. We offer you to Paris, we offer you to Real Madrid. We offer you to Atletico. We offer you to Juve. And if those 15 super elite club, Bayern Munich's and all that, I mean, you know, if Lewandowski was to move, I bet Bayern could get him for 65 million and he'd go there, but he ain't going to come to Tottenham. And Tottenham are going to be way down that list of priorities. And he thinks, I've just won the league with Inter. We're in the Champions League. Why do I want to go and play in that? So, you know, even if we are prepared to spend the money, it's not that easy to get those players. Tottenham Hotspur is not a big enough attraction in Europe. It doesn't win trophies. It's not in the Champions League. And it doesn't pay people 250 grand a week. So why is a top player going to come there?
Yeah, but do we go, this is what I'm saying, you can go for the top players, but they won't come to us. So do we bite the bullet and go Premiership proven players that can enhance the team? This is what I'm saying. Yeah, who is out there? Who is out there?
Well, we did say it. I mean, we've spoken at length. You know, someone like Danny Ings. You know, Jason, you was an advocate.
Ings. I would have taken him. Ings was a huge loss. Why we weren't in for him for 25 million quid? Absolutely amazes me, because he absolutely does you a job, and at that price, given the current market, it's buttons, isn't it? 25 million quid is absolute buttons.
That is a prime example that we waste our time chasing top players when players that would improve our squad are available. And you know, I've defended Arsenal today. We're all laughing at their transfer business, saying, well, he's not good enough. But in their mind, they wanted Ben White, they wanted Ramsdale, they wanted Maddison. They knew that Maddison was too dear, so they didn't waste another 2 weeks chasing him. They just thought, right, the next one on the list, Odegaard, we go and get him. And they've got the three players they wanted. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want any of them at Tottenham, and I don't think they're great signings, but they've identified what they need. They went for realistic targets, and they've got all of them.
I think
Nicky Wallace.
Vestergaard.
100%. Vestergaard, 40 mil.
Done. They know the Premier League. Yeah. They don't need 8 months to bed in, and it's we'll give them another season. Exactly. It's a joke. We're going for these top players. Great, brilliant.
They improve us, both of us.
But they come to the Premiership, and it takes. I read today. Llorente, Janssen, Soldado. Is it Soldado? Them three alone scored 8 Premiership goals between them. Now tell me if that's that's terrible.
Yeah.
They didn't know the Premier League.
Yeah. He's doing more than 8 on his own, isn't he?
Yeah. All right, Llorente to Swansea, but what I'm trying to say is 2 out of them 3 Didn't know the Premier League.
Yeah.
But we still gave them another chance. Because we're too nice. We give them another chance.
I think I say that the market, I mean, Jason, I think that Jason's made the point there. We have this summer have shown some intent to go after those top players. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, whether it's down to the clubs not wanting to sell or the player not actually wanting to come, that's an issue. But I do agree with you, Ant, that, you know, going down the Premier League proven route, you know, the Vestergaard, I'm stunned by, you know, we haven't looked at him, for example. Yeah, I mean, we'll just finish, guys, on this question because, like I say, we've got to squeeze Wolves in. This is from, final question, this is from...
Rick, I just want to pop inside, mate. Sorry, Rich.
Go for it. Go on. Let's go. We'll go to Jason. We'll go to Rich on us after. Jason, this is from Kyle Caldarelli, who says, will Parategy be on the phones as you're recording this podcast trying to sell any more of those players that featured tonight, and will you have any success doing so?
Well, as I said, they'll have success doing so if they get if they ask for a realistic price. But if I mean, you know, Harry Winks, if they're saying to Southampton you could have him for 25 million, they ain't going to sell him. If they say to Crystal Palace you could have him for 7.5, Crystal Palace will take him. Simple as that. You've got to ask a realistic price.
Do you agree on that, Rich? Do you think that'll be the case?
Absolutely. That's always been a problem with Daniel Levy doing the transfers. He always wants to give absolute buttons when he's bringing a player in, but then expects huge fees to come in, like to get them out, and that's just not the way the way of the world and the way of it. It has to be more realistic. You know, it's wages as well. Wages is a huge problem. Like, you know, it's like if a player sat there on a 3-year contract on 150 grand a year, and then Burnley come in, you're not getting 150 grand a year. So you've got to take a bit of a hit on their transfer fee, and you've probably got to cover 50% of the wage as well, like for the next couple of years or something. So, but that's what you have to do to move these people on. It's just something. They're just the way the market is.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think, like I say, we're seeing the way the market is this summer, and it, you know, I'm intrigued to see how these next couple of weeks do play out. And like I say, we're hopeful that next week we're going to turn this tie around. Listen, we have got enough squad to do that. I think we've got to be going into next week. Listen, it is disappointing, but with the players that we have got available to us, I'm sure Nuno will reshuffle the pack, take one or two more senior pros, maybe not this kind of senior pros, but some of the players that did play against Man City, and hopefully we do turn the game around. We are going to go, for the listeners on audio, we're going to go for our final break of the show. Taking into this break, we've got a couple of Wolves podcasters giving us their thoughts of the game at the weekend, their thoughts on Nuno, their thoughts on Wolves' start to the season, and what is expected. For those on YouTube, we're going to get straight into that right now because, as I say, we've got Wolves to come this coming Sunday. It's a Wolves side that face their old manager in Nuno Espirito Santo, who becomes the manager, as we know, of Spurs this summer. Wolves enjoyed their golden period under Nuno, leading them to the Europa League place and proving their reputation as being a team that, you know, was challenging for Europe. And for Wolves, that was a big thing. He's worshipped there, not only just at Wolves, in the community as well, Nuno. So he'll get a wonderful reception, I'm sure, going back. Obviously, they had a tricky start to their campaign, losing 1-0 to Leicester, courtesy of a trademark Jamie Vardy finish. But Wolves will return to Molineux, where they have certainly memorable moments against the traditional big six of the clubs, which, of course, Nuno was heavily involved in. I'm going to start with you on this, James, because I know this is the game where you want to see really what Nuno's team's about, right? Because you want to see if it's going to be a front foot Tottenham, or we're going to go with 10 behind the ball. This is going to be one of the tests, isn't it, for you to see how Nuno's going to line up his Tottenham team? Well,
they lost at Leicester, not just courtesy of a Jamie Vardy goal, but courtesy of an oil boy miss. You know, the £40 million no goals, no assists player.
So you're referring to Adama Traore, just to be clear.
Again, you know, he's got more oil than Manchester City on him. So, you know, it's just a waste of time. I want to see what Nuno does with it. It'd be interesting to see what he does with Romero, whether he does bring him in and whether he decides he's going to drop Sanchez or Dyer. So whether we will go to a back three on Saturday, or we keep with the team that played so well against Manchester City and he thinks Romero just didn't do enough tonight to get his place. I think that's the one thing. But, you know, Manchester City, as we know, we've beaten them in the last few years. That kind of suited us Sunday to play them, I thought, and undercooked Manchester City. I think Wolves is a much bigger test of, will Nuno just sit patiently behind the ball and play counter-attack football, or will he actually be braver and look to get on the front foot? I think the one thing you've got to be the thing you've got to be careful of Saturday, we rode the emotion of being back in the stadium for the first time Sunday, and we had a cause. It was Manchester City were trying to buy Kane, and that pushed the crowd on. So the emotion and the cause made that a cauldron. Wolves will be playing with the emotion of fans in the stadium the first time, and they've got the cause. They've got the cause of new manager against Nuno, so they've got lots to play for. And we've got to be absolutely at it in terms of attitude and commitment. We've got to be as at it as we were against Manchester City, and we can't allow that wave of emotion to hit us in the same way that it did Manchester City. And, I think all the teams, it's not just because it's Wolves. I think you could be going to Palace, you could be going to Brighton, any of those away games, the first ones back where crowds are suddenly back in the stadium for 18 months. It's going to make that first couple of away games really tricky. And we've got to be really prepared for that. That's for sure.
Rich has come around to you because Wolves, they'll feel they're fine lucky to put Raul Jimenez back in their first team. Obviously, post his absence for the majority of the previous season with a fractured skull. Listen, from a football fan's perspective, absolutely great to see him back on a pitch.
Absolutely.
It is great to see him back on a pitch. I'm sure we all agree with that. Horrendous injury. Listen, hope he doesn't obviously take it out on us at the weekend and score, but, he is a tremendous player. And I think Nuno had a great relationship with him. Listen, who knows? Strange things happen in football. Do we see Spurs going for a last-minute bid for him, depending on how the rest of this summer transfer window plays out? Also, we've seen Spurs link the likes of Adama Traore, which I think you can tell by Jason's opinion. He's not looking forward to potentially a bid coming in there. Jose Sar's also become the number one there post the departure of Rui Patricio. And new signing Francesco Trianco is also expected to start against Spurs. He begins to settle in the Premier League. And it's Wolves. It's a fresh start for them. It's a new manager coming in. Didn't get the result they wanted last week. Back now at home. It's not going to be easy, this, is it? Because I don't ever go up to Molineux and ever get an easy game. It's not a place that we go there relishing. We got a great win there last season. I think the season before that we had obviously the Tongan header. It's going to be tough, though, isn't it? It's going to be tough. I think we drew 1-1 there, didn't we, last season? That last minute or last gasp header denying us the 3 points. It's not going to be easy up there at all.
No, not at all. And I think it's going to be a game where the Wolves players and the Wolves fans want to prove something to Nuno, because some of them are still upset that he's gone to us. So you've got that side of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be tough for us, and we've got to try and match it. We'll try and be on that front foot and nick an early goal and just keep going. And we can't sit back on our laurels if we do go 1-0 up and think that the game's won, because they have got players that can score. Do you know what I mean? They're a good side.
Yeah, I think Jason's right as well. You've got that element of Wolves now, first home game in 18 months, and we saw ourselves the euphoria that brings. They want to get a little payback for Nuno going. But then on the flip side of that, Nuno knows every player there pretty much inside out. So, I mean, it really is quite a fascinating old matchup, really. And just play to our strengths. I'd like to see us go front foot, to be honest. I think we've got the personnel to be able to do that. I think we've all seen quite enough last year of not only world events, but Tottenham events and the way we was playing under the previous man. So I just want to see, let's just bottle what we done Sunday, stick it in a bottle, take it with us to Wolves and go again with that. Because if you play with that heart and commitment, like we did last Sunday in every game, you're winning a lot more than you're losing, that's for sure. That was the most pleasing thing last Sunday, was just to see a little bit of passion, a little bit of care, a little bit of I want this.
Yeah.
Just go and do that again. Just go and want it again. And you've got half a chance.
I do agree. Also, he may be tempted, this is obviously the Wolves manager, to make a cut of change ahead of the match with the experience of players such as right back Nelson Semedo and the versatile Leander Dendoncker, both representing enticing starting options for Wolves. So we could see potential cut of changes ahead of that game for them when you look at the team they put out against Leicester the week before. Jason, we heard from Nuno after the game that Kane trained today with the players that stayed in England. He trained well and he'll train again tomorrow. When we return, we part of the group. I know you didn't want to let the show about Kane. It hasn't been about Kane this show, but we can't not discuss the elephant in the room. This is from Stuart Roper, who says, against a dogged side, I think you may need Kane in there to bully their defenders. Whether or not it's right to drop one of the players that did so against City is another matter. It's a great point. Is Harry Kane in your consideration for the weekend?
I'd start him in place of Bergwijn, yeah.
Okay.
He has to start.
Yeah,
I'd start him in place of Bergwijn. I mean, you know, you can't just keep leaving him out, He's our player. If he's trained this week, they don't come back. You know, they don't come back like you and me do off of holiday. I mean, they're still pretty fit when they come back. He's been back training them by then, 2 weeks? For me, he plays against Manchester City, against Wolves, and Bergwijn would be the one that's on the bench, yeah, for sure.
Is that unanimous, boys, there? Let's come to you, Rich. For you, Harry Kane, you know, he's been training. Is he straight back in the 11 for you?
100%. Harry Kane is a Tottenham player. Harry Kane is our best striker. So Harry Kane, if fit, plays. Please don't speak to me about my head's not in the right place. I'm not having that at all. That's a cop out. That's an excuse. And like, that's not to demean like people that are struggling with like sort of mentality issues, like Ben Stokes and other athletes. This is a different head's not in the right place. Yeah. If your head's not in the right place to play for your team because of other things going on, you as a professional footballer and as an England captain and now as a seasoned pro, you should be able to go, right, okay, that's all going on at the moment. But today I'm a Tottenham player. This is what this club is paying me to do. I'm going to go and do that job. And then tomorrow I'll go and do my training on my warm down. And then when I leave the training ground, I'll then switch on and deal with the other part of it of where I'm gonna end up. So at the moment he's got to switch on and off and on and off. Yeah. And when he's training and when he's playing, he's a Spurs player. And until such time as that changes, that remains Rick. And I'm just not having this like my head isn't right. Sorry, I'm not having it. I don't question your mentality to actually be a footballer if you can't switch that on and off. If there was other things going on and he was suffering with depression and things like that, absolutely don't play him until he's right. We've all seen what that sort of like, you know, head not in the right place issues are. But this isn't that. To me, he plays.
I mean, no disrespect to Harry, I'm sure. Listen, head's not in the right place. He's just got to concern himself with what is he going for a 6-bedroom place in Manchester, or is he going to go for an upgraded contract with Tottenham? I mean, the reality is, it's not that kind of headspace where, you know, like you say there, it's not a mental health perspective issue. Where I say where you take that into consideration. And same question to you, really. It sounds like you're unanimous with the boys here. You think Kane's our player? He should be starting, right? If he is starting, do you agree with Jason? Does he come in the place of Bergwijn for you? In place of Bergwijn?
Yeah. Replace Bergwijn. I mean, he done all right. He done all right, Steve, on the other day. But there's a couple of chances that he missed, and he's a confidence player. So listen, he's on the bench. He's hopefully be an impact player when he comes on. But Kane has to start. He's our player. Do you see what I mean? He can't be. Nuno, I'm in an Ari. No, you play him. He's been training. He's fit. He's going to be match fit by the time he's played against Wolves. And we keep playing him. Done. End of story. End of conversation.
The club need to put it on him, Rick, and say, you're our player. You are playing. If he then says refuses, then the club need to communicate that out. Harry Kane isn't available today. He's refused to join the squad. Put that out there. Because I tell you something, brand Harry Kane is all about being Roy the Rovers, Corinthian spirit, the clean-cut image boy. That's what he trades off of. That's what's got him the England captaincy as well, because he's this clean-cut image. He isn't falling out of clubs, you know. He's married his childhood sweetheart, da-da-da-da. He's a pin-up boy. So let him go on strike, because he completely and utterly diminishes his whole brand as well. So I'd put it on him. He's painted himself this angelic picture, and for all I know, he is a good bloke. If he starts like refusing to work on the grounds of this, that, and the other, let's see where that takes him.
Yep.
I would just say, perhaps he wants the club to put it on him so that he can play. because I'm not convinced everything that's coming out that we're being given is the truth. We all know what information we've seen. So, if he was, I don't believe for 1 minute Harry Kane just decided to say, "Oh, F it, I'm going to go back a week late." Where was he? He was in Joe Lewis's property.
There was a vacuum of clarity, wasn't there? There was a vacuum of being being told that vacuum got filled with speculation from the press. So that there's a problem, and nobody came out to squash it, deny it, or say otherwise.
Finally, let's get some predictions ahead of the game. Let's come round to you first, Jace. You go for
I might, if I'm honest, I'll go for a 1-1 draw. I think it will be a really tough game with that wave of emotion and things like that goes on. So I think it will be a 1-1 game.
Okay, let's come around to you next, Dan. I know you hate giving predictions, so I apologize for putting you in this position. Let's come to you, Ant. What are you going for?
Yeah, I could see it being a draw as well. Yeah, 1-0. Just throwing out there, 1-0.
And Rich, throwing it over to you quickly to get your prediction.
I'm going for a big old bottle of the new White Hart Lane last Sunday being poured all over the pitch. 2-1 Spurs. Come on, positivity. Let's have it.
I agree. I'm not letting this result tonight affect my judgment. I do think we're going to get the result against Wolves. I think we will definitely secure another 3 points, have a great start to the league. Right, final 9 minutes of the show, which means it's only one thing on a Thursday. Even though we had a disappointment tonight, we've got to hand it over to the wonderful Richard Cracknell, who's taken us through. Now, I've got to say, this is a very popular theme, that we brought it onto the show. And just funny, the irony tonight is they're both together, two of them that made this kind of happen. The wonderful, we've got Andy Costa and Rich, who were part of the O Come On You Spurs podcast. That, like 40 Towers and like some of the greatest ever sitcoms, has been left there as a kind of honourable pod that we're hoping one day will relaunch and come back. But until then, Rich is very kindly bringing this over to us. It's what's effectively known as the shit quiz. So we're trying to end on a high. So I'm going to hand the reins over to the wonderful Richard Cracknell. But I think Andy Costa's got to move back 5 yards now so he doesn't catch the answer.
Well, I can't see it.
Yeah, look, I'm holding it away from him so he can't see. I have it written here. Okay,
Let's hand over to Richard Cracknell. Rich, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rick, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first ever live on YouTube shit quiz. We've had some terrible ones down the years on, as you say, Owen the Spurs, like the time we had He's Mr. Sitar, where we played popular football songs, but on a sitar, and you had to guess what they was. I think that was one, wasn't it? We've had some
Major League Soccer when my mate Frank was on there.
When Frank Major was on. We've had some absolute shockers. And tonight, ladies and gents, is absolutely no different. It's as shocking as ever. It really is shit. So all three of you are playing this, by the way. I'm normally supposed to keep score.
Is the answer Harry Winks?
No, I normally go with a little. What I normally do is I come up with a title and I work backwards. Okay, and tonight's no different. Now here we are. We've gone out to Portugal this evening. Jason looks absolutely disgusted already. That's the face we like.
He's never happy. He's never happy.
Jason's pulling the same face that Barry Davies did when I did commentator the quiz that I gave him. And gave him different names of potatoes. He was like, yeah, keep score, Jace. Thank you very much.
Right, go on then.
All right. So tonight, ladies and gents, Antony Costa, Ricky Sachs, Jason McGovern, would you like to play sneeze or Portuguese? Sneeze or Portuguese? You see what I've done now?
I like it.
So I will give you 2 words. One of them is the word that you say to somebody when they've sneezed in a country or a language somewhere around the world, like bless you or gesundheit. And the other word will be a Portuguese football team. So you have to tell me which one's the sneeze and which one's Portuguese. Yeah? Okay. All right. So here we go. Number 1. Evida, and Casa Pia. So one word, Evida, and the other word, Casa Pia. Which one's the sneeze? Which one's Portuguese.
I'm going to go Casa. Was it Casa?
Casa Pia.
Casa Pia is the football team.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm agree with that. Yeah, I'm going to say. Are we unanimous on that? So we're all saying Casa Pia is the football team and Aviva is the sneeze.
Well done. Yes. Aviva is what you say to people when they've just sneezed in Malta. So Malta, when someone goes achoo, in Malta you'll go Aviva. Okay. Casa Pia is a Lisbon team in League Two. And they're known as Os Gansos, which are the geese. That's their nickname. Well done. So you're all 1 for 1. Brilliant stuff. Right, question 2. This is nearly over. It's 5 of them to go. Felguares is your first one. Enflorescas. So Felguares or Enflorescas. Which one's the sneeze? Which one's Portuguese?
I think Enquiries is the football team.
Okay.
And the other one you mentioned, I think, is the sneeze.
Felguares. Okay.
Yeah.
Jason, coming to you.
I'll go the other way round.
The other way round.
I was going to do that.
And which way are you going?
I'm going with Jace.
You're going with Jace. Well done, Jace. Well done. And point each. Oh, Rick, you've had a shocker.
I've had a shocker.
Enquiries is Ladino, which of course is Spanish Hebrew, which is my family trait. Sephardic Hebrew, Spanish Hebrew. Yes. So there you go. And the other one, Felguares, is a League 3 team based in Porto with the chairman Lionel Costa. Any relation?
Oh, yeah, he's my uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Lionel.
That's why I knew it.
That's why I knew it. Yeah. Okay.
Let's hope he's not watching.
Right. So it's 2 to 1. 2 to you, Jace. 1 to you. I'm keeping score here as well. I'm getting good at this. Right. Number 3. Are you ready?
Go.
Aruca or Shuhadet.
Aruca is the football team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Aruca is the football team, and the other one is.
Jason's confident. I'm going to go with Jason.
Aruca.
Jason's saying Aruca's the football team. Yeah.
I've got something wrong with my foot. I don't know what it is.
You sure you don't want to go Shuhadet?
No, I'm going Aruca.
No, because I'm following. Look, Jason went straight in. He went in like
there's a confidence.
He might have led you all up the garden path in. Neither of you two want to change, no?
No.
I can see you wavering.
No.
Okay.
Jason was quite confident.
Well done, lads. Yes, you're spot on. Aruca, a League 2 club based in Porto, in the Aveiro region. And Shuhadet is what you would say to somebody if they sneezed in Albania. So well done. It's an Albanian, bless you. Well done. Super stuff. Right.
You're really shouting in my right ear.
Am I? I'm excited. I'm getting all excited. All right. I'll try.
I'm joking.
That'll be delivering by the time this is finished.
Get a bit Jeremy Vine on eggheads.
Okay. Righty ho. Let me just bring it down a touch. Okay. Number 4. Trofensi versus Afia. So Trofensi versus Afia. Which one's Portuguese? Which one's a sneeze?
I'm going to go with Afia being the football team and Trofensia being the sneeze.
I'm going Trofensia's football team.
Okay.
I'm going Afia as the football team.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Oh, big split of opinion. And the only one taking a point is Mr. Costa.
No.
Trofensi is a Portuguese football team managed by Tony Barbosa. Tony Barbosa. Hey, Tony Barbosa. Go and see Tony Barbosa. Hey, forget about it. Go and see Tony Barbosa. He's a wise guy. He's a straight up guy.
You could change face.
Ant's leading this, isn't he, at the moment? Going to the final. Ant's leading.
I might Spurs it up though.
Afia is what you would say in Kiswahili, which is a sub-language of Swahili and spoken around the Great Lakes of Africa. So there you go. Listen, not only shit, but educational as well. All right. If this comes up on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like, and you're in the money, and okay, where do you say Afia? You've had it. So, okay, final one. Ant's in the lead. Can we have the scores, Jace? Have you bothered to keep score? Is anyone?
I got one wrong. I threw the scoreboard away, mate.
Well, you're one in front anyway.
And he's leading. And he's leading.
I'm leading.
If you get this, you'll win a chicken dinner. Right. Number 5, final question. All right, it's nearly over. I'm going to say to you, Pele. Yes, Pele. Or Fafe. Pele versus Fafe. Which one's Portuguese? Which one's the sneeze?
I think if there was a club called Pele, we would have known about it by now. So I'm going to go with Pele being the sneeze and the other one being the football team.
Yeah, I'm with Rickster on that one.
Are you? Did you know there's a club called Arsenal also in Mauritius?
Yes, sir.
See, you hadn't heard of that. See, you say you would have heard of it. You didn't know there was a club called Arsenal in Mauritius.
I'm glad I didn't. I mean, I don't know.
A town called Arsenal that's painted all red and white.
Is it?
Yeah, see? So there may be a club. I may have come right down the leagues here. Pele versus Fafe.
You haven't asked Jace yet.
No, okay. You're going Pele as the sneeze then, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, as a tactical vote, the only way to get level with Costa is to disagree with him. So I'll go Pele as a football club.
Okay. Rick's given up the will to live here. What have I done to his podcast? I've killed your podcast in 10 minutes.
I'm sticking with my decision. I'm sticking with Pele being the sneeze. That's not
the sneeze. Okay. Pele, you would say to somebody in Nigeria if they sneeze because it's Yoruba language. Pele is the sneeze. Well done. You got that. You won the sneeze. Yeah, you won the sneeze. You won it.
Oh, I lost it.
And Fafe is from the Braga region of Portugal, a population of 50,000. That's a little local team in Braga. So well done, Mr. Costa. This evening's of sneeze or Portuguese. Thank you very much. Good night.
I'm just concerned, Rich, that Spurs might not play anymore for their Thursday nights and just give you the slot for the shit quiz. I'm just a bit concerned that.
Be careful if we play a team from Poland because Murder on Gdansk floor will be back.
Rick, as if being in the European Conference League wasn't bad enough, we're doing things like this. I mean, Struth alive.
We love it, son. We love it.
Tell me you had more entertainment from that quiz than you did at 90 minutes of Spurs tonight. Come on.
I tell you, I'm not turning up for training and I'm asking for a transfer request next week.
McGovern's down tools.
McGovern's not here anymore.
Guys, as always, let me say my massive thanks to the wonderful Jason McGovern. Jace, thank you so much. The scoreboard's gone out the window. He's not happy. He is not happy at all. Rich, sticking with you very quickly. We've got to ask you, Rich, upcoming gigs. Just to confirm, obviously, Glenn Hoddle, when I said he's at Chessington a couple of weeks ago, that's obviously not on the rides. But anything coming up, Rich, that is non-ride related?
Yes, on the 28th in Gloucester, little town Hardwick, got a beautiful social club there. Hardwick FC are putting their 9 that's with the one and only Ian Holloway. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's the 28th. And then on the 3rd of September, in the same place, down in Hardwick, Gloucester, the one and only Steve Perryman. So if you're down that way, have a look on the socials or at Mark Carter or at Gloucester Spurs. They've got all the ticket details. And then there's another raft coming up in November as well. But they're your next two. Do come along. They're a terrific night. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure, Rich. Like I say, again, highlight, Rich, we can find that information via your Twitter account and via the other social medias. Is that right?
At Mr. Cracknell, I am. Have a look through there and you can see that. So, yeah, MR Mr. Cracknell.
Amazing. And in the meantime, I want to thank again to the wonderful Antony Costa, who will be with us, of course, regularly with the other boys throughout the season. And
boys, it's great to be back.
Rich, and you got the shit quiz, and we thought you get the Spurs result. You can't have everything, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't have everything. But listen, it's been good seeing you boys. Can't wait to see each other in person.
Yes,
Next week. So
yeah.
I've got to say, I'm actually quite concerned. Obviously, of us meeting on deadline day, this could be a very scary moment where we're going to potentially lose the star striker, and we're all together watching it. Can't make it up, witnessing that. Honestly, I tell you.
Plenty of anaesthetic on the evening. Plenty of anaesthetic.
Look at JC's face. He's looking forward to it. Look at him.
Get him Jaeger bombs out, Jace.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
that'll do me. That'll do me.
Oh, I tell you. Oh dear. In the words of, like I say, our gamer there, of Antony Costa's words, one love is definitely, like I say, all we need at the moment in terms of Tottenham. Guys, I want to thank our panel for this evening. We're back this coming Sunday, hopefully talking about Spurs returning to winning ways. Once again, my wonderful thanks to Jason McGovern, Antony Costa, the wonderful Richard Cracknell. Most importantly, guys, keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on you Spurs!